Hello everyone, this is Lugatorx, and this is my Hunnic Hard difficulty campaign. This is to showcase the victory as well as the ending cinematic for the cultural victory. So I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory about the Huns and what they go through in the campaign, as well as show you how the Horde mechanics work and how the campaign turned out, as well as the video itself. This is the most recent development. Hunnic Storm, which is military technology, was actually offered to me as a tech tree mission, and I finally completed it. It took about 17 turns to complete, and now I'm moving on. Only a fool stands before the raging storm. So here you can see I'm in the Caucasus, and Attila is still my faction leader. The year is 456 winter, so it'll be spring of 457 when the game ends and the cultural victory is attained. This is one of my better stacks. I have a couple really nice ones around here. You can see the Elder Shaman's Yurt and other highly upgraded buildings like the cattle pens, which are requirements for the cultural victory. And that is Sabar's stack. He is my illegitimate son via Hunnic stock, and he turned out to be quite a general. 9-star. And Bleda is my other 10-star general. Historically, he was the brother who was assassinated by Attila before he rose to power by poisoning. But he's injured right now. There was an assassination attempt. So, for some backstory, the Huns start out around here in Europa Sarmatia, and the Slavs start to the east. The Anteans, the Venetians, and one other, the Sclavenians. They, of course, eventually settled down here, and the Anteans earlier here in the Ukraine, and a little bit into Crimea. They had some conflicts with the Ostrogoths earlier on, before the 395 campaign start date. And as the Huns, you start out with the Roxolani, Budinians, Sabirs, and Magyars all to your east. They'll eventually start trying to hunt you down. And you have to kind of push westward. You have to go west, and with the support of your Grythlungian vassals here in Cheronesis, as well as your Gepid allies. Now, the Gepids had wiped out the Huns eventually in history, so it's a good thing that they're not around anymore, some 60 years after the start date. But they do betray you, as well as the Grythlungians. You can see they're quite powerful and at war with me right now. And you kind of have to push into Dacia, and eventually the Western Germanic tribes will start to declare war on you also. So you'll be corralled into the Balkans, and in the Balkans the ERE will be very powerful, as well as the Ostrogoths and Visigoths. The Visigoths and Ostrogoths settle quite well in the latest build. I found the Ostrogoths historically settle in Pannonia and move into Italy when they had usurped the Kingdom of Italy under Odoacer. And the Visigoths generally settle not historically in Spain and Central Gaul or Southern Gaul as they did, but generally in the Balkans, Hellas, Greece, that area. And you can also see that some other factions like the Picts and Caledonians did very well. The Caledonians are in Corsica, Ajaccio, some of Rhaetia here, and I found 9 times out of 10 they move over to Spain and Aquitaine. Generally the Celtic factions will move down into Spain. They might even be there now. As you can see, I didn't go all the way over into Gaul or Spain, nor the British Isles. But it's 456, so Aetius would have already had his conflict with Boniface and Valentinian III. Valentinian would have killed him about 3 years prior. And that the Battle of Catalonian Fields would have already happened up here in Gaul, but you can see I didn't go over there. As I said, I moved down into Greece and was chased by the Visigoths, who were turning sour with me, as well as the Ostrogoths, who I was at war with. You can see what I did to them. And took a boat, fleeing the enemy with my 3-2 military stacks, and sacked Crete, sacked Gortynia here. Moved all the way to Alexandria, so I sacked Alexandria, Paratonium, and made an alliance with Axum, who was coming up from the south, from Ethiopia there. Made an alliance with Judea, and did most of my raiding requirements for the minor victory through here in Palestine and Syria. Tried to stay on the good side of Palmyra, who's been around for a while, but eventually I raided them as well, and you can see factions don't like that and will eventually turn on you. Sacked Antioch, moved up into Asia Minor and Anatolia, and at the time the ERE was at war with me because I had a falling out with them in Egypt, so I took out them, and as well as Asia and a bunch of their other successor states, the city-states that will pop up after the ERE is taken down via rebellion or liberation. Made it all the way to Ephesus, and turned back after the ERE was wiped out, formed an alliance with the Visigoths under their king Theodoric, and had a marriage at that point. One of my daughters was married to both the Illyrian Romans, the Dacian Romans, and the Visigoths. The Visigoths, who had taken over all of the Balkans as well as much of Asia Minor, moved all the way over the Anatolian Peninsula. Yeah, here it is. Theodoric died at 49. Amice. So they had formed hegemony over this entire region here, and I was just south of Melitene here when the Sassanids declared war on me. Now, I was using the Horde mechanics. I was building up my strength, settling to maintain income, and south of Melitene I was declared war on by the Sassanids as well as all their vassals, so I moved down and confronted them. Now, they were already decimated by the White Huns as well as other factions. Moved all the way down to Ctesiphon and Mashan, where I was chased from the south by the Lakhmids as well as Mazun, which is very powerful, still is, and moved north. I moved around the Ural Mountains all the way to the Caucasus. Now, at the time, the Caucasus were under control of Kartli, which was neutral and previously allied to me, but by the time I got there, the Afrigids had taken over, and between War and Peace and the Afrigids, they got upset with me raiding other factions, so they declared war. So it was the perfect spot to finish out the raiding requirements. So I'm positioned here with my main stack around Mishteka. The income is 812. And between my 6 stacks, we're all raiding except with the sole exception of Attila, who has about 9 Bosphorian infantry coming in, which is impressive. I'm going to get the remaining 500 talents, Florence, needed for the cultural victory. I'll show you what it is here. The buildings, the cattle pens, and elder shamans, which I already mentioned, the wagon maker, and the royal yurt builder. Also, the requirement is 15,000 in income per rating. It takes quite a while to do, and you have to tick off the wrong parties to do it and stay alive while doing it. I have 14,551, and I'm going to get the remainder of that over the next turn. 16 civil technologies. I have 17, after having just researched that military one, Hunnic Storm. And I have to raise or sack 30 different settlements. I think by this point I had actually raised 32. So I had sacked and raised a total of 36. And you had to survive until spring of 450. That's kind of the end of Aetius's civil war and conflict with Valentinian after he had defeated Attila at Catalaunian fields. So I'll just go ahead and show you the victory cinematic, which should be coming around from this autosave right into 457. And then briefly I'll go over the character and positioning of my hordes. So enjoy the cinematic. You might have noticed the Alemanni took out the Visigoths. These factions do quite well in your absence. Playing as normal Huns versus the buffed up supreme ones that the AI usually plays, throws at you, as the Germanic factions. Finished about 10 of them. Grothlundian agent here is probably going to move against Sabar. If I had to continue this campaign, I would move up northwest and take out the Grothlundians, kind of fulfill the remaining destruction of factions requirements for the divine triumph or military victory. But as it stands, this is pretty satisfying. It's been a very good campaign. Pontus had rebelled after I'd taken out all the Eastern Roman factions. Felt bad about raiding Palmyra. It's a totally unique cinematic for the Huns. Similar in theater to what happens in the Germanic ones, but still unique.
The day of reckoning has come.
I wished it was Attila, since he was still the leader.
There was silence.
What do it look like? That's Ravenna, that's Palladium. The Apollinari. That's Sestafon. That's the capital in Rome. And just any barbarian settlement. You don't get it in any of the dramatic ending videos. Finished a bunch of campaigns now. He's very relieved.
Let them bathe in the warmth
Very
of
happy
the
with
sun,
himself.
for they are the faithful, the righteous, the strong.
Awesome.
These words are true, as God is my witness. It is done.
Cool little cultural ending cinematic. You get it for the military victory as well. Sacred tree for the Germanic factions. And there it is, the cultural victory. 6 hordes owned. Prosperity is destitute, but I could easily change that via settling down. Setting up camp. Imperium is terrifying. And you can see my stats here. I've encountered 54 factions. Established 6 tributary puppet states. Currently at war with 16 factions. and currently allied with 4 factions. The maximum amount of hordes that I've had established was 7, so it means I lost 1 along the way, but you'll see that I only lost 3 battles. You can't afford to lose a battle as the Huns, as a nomad faction that never actually settles down and gains territory. It's the same reason why your strength ranking won't go up, because you can't have territory, you have to stay to the same stacks with the same military traditions. So I only lost 3 battles, I won 142. I recruited only 4 agents, but I converted or persuaded through extortion or persuasion at least 3 others. So my agents got pretty highly ranked. 64 agent actions, that's absolutely necessary, hard or higher as the Huns. It says champion type agents lost 1. He was assassinated. It was actually a Persian agent, assassinated agent, who I had extorted, persuaded over to the Hunnic side. So he was a turncoat. And he lost it. I recruited 19,431 battle captives, so I was taking on, as historical, a lot of people into my ranks. Didn't execute that many, and ransomed quite a bit as well, which is what the Huns were all about. So Hildiko? Intelligent, awesome. That's good for Arnak. Go ahead. Sabar was appointed to the office of Glorious Subjugator, that's good. So a couple last things I'll point out. Here's Tarkin, General Tarkin. I wonder if he's a Moth. Bleda stayed alive all this time. Bleda is the brother of Attila, and he is convalescing from an injury, attempted assassination right now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him back. And you can see he's infertile and proud, as well as a butcher. Robbing the vanquished is not enough for this man, so whatever he does, he's proud and gets a lot out of it. Keen and loyal. The Crocia Moors. So Blade is a 10-star, Attila is a 10-star, and here's Attila. Amorous, that explains his 2 illegitimate kids, one of who was assassinated. Into the Breach, Stranger to Fear, good in a fight, that can be upgraded to Excellent Fighter or Master of Combat. Into the Breach is the Siege. Commanders are plus 50% when laying siege, morale plus 15. I think it's the highest rank that you can get for sieges, so he's done a lot of them. And he's not too good looking, just like his son. He's got these legendary ancillaries in his household, the bow of Arsaces, and the Svarg bow, and his Roman wife, Minia Flavia Alba. Attila succeeds Bleda in, I think, the vanilla release version of this game. It says the previous warlord has passed away, but I think it used to count down from old in the historical one, who the Huns start with, to through old age generals until you reach Attila. And the last one for at least one of my games is from Bleda. Bleda's father, Munzuk, was also a 10-star, and Sabar is doing pretty well. And if you go to my family tree here, Ernak is becoming a pretty good general himself. Karaton was very promising, had a lot of cunning, but he was assassinated. It's hard to keep everyone alive when you're playing as hordes that can't recall generals. So just one last look at the agents. Here's Taurus, my priest. He's unlucky, which lowers his cunning a bit, and success chance -5. but he's very good at persuasion. 56 years old, Attila is 58. There's a lot of fanfare and trumpets when he's born in 401. Really, my only challenge at this point would be the Lackmans settling here, but they're afraid of me. And here's Sengalak, my Hunnic ninja. Here's Coercion. Extort action, plus 20% chance of converting target, so you can get agents over to your side even if you don't have the building fulfilling the requirement for them. Courtesan and a Tincture of Hemlock. He's very good at assassinations and almost maxed out cunning. They change in appearance as you get better with your agents. And here are the two Parthian agents that I got over to my side.
Yes.
He's doing pretty well, our Shaka. Atropine isn't really a threat, they only have one settlement down here. Briefly show you the overview map. Fertility is just about had it for the end of the game. You can see the effects of Tengris on where I've been in the world. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the ending cinematic for the Huns and the brief walkthrough that I did with what I did with the campaign. I got to fight against the Slavs and other recent factions, and there was a lot of resettlement going on. I decimated through raising almost all of Anatolia here, but it was all resettled by the Erie and other factions. So the game is working very well. It was a very fun campaign. I would definitely recommend it on hard. I wouldn't recommend it on legendary, because if you lose a battle, there's not much you can do about it. Your game is ended. But very fun. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll get back to you with another video. Thanks. This was Lugatorix.